Hi, everyone. It's Lisa from Been There, Got Out. And today's guest bopped on for a second really quickly. Her name is Angela Kim, and she is the credit repair boss. And in our community of people dealing with very difficult exes, we know that identity theft is a big deal. We know that people often have fraud issues going on, and their ex is doing all kinds of nonsense with signing papers with their name on it, taking credit cards out under someone else, including our clients. And so Angela and I, let me see if she's here. I don't see her yet. We met in person at the end of 24. Out here she is. Okay. And I started talking to her and immediately thought, this is dealing with the same kinds of stuff. She can help our clients, basically. Okay, Angela, I see you. Let me get you on. Hi. Yeah. So, and we had a conversation yesterday about some of the things that are going on with our clients, and we were going to talk about that today, as well as a number of other things regarding why your credit is so important and what you can do to protect it, especially when you're dealing with a terrorist who's trying to ruin your life, especially financially. So, Angela, I mentioned this to you yesterday, but when I was in the midst of my own divorce, at the very end, my lawyer was like, the number one thing you need to do other than keeping yourself safe is to protect your credit. Why is that so important?
Credit is one of the most vital parts in life because money in the bank actually it has nothing to do with credit. Whether you've already been separated or whether you've already finished with and finalized with the divorce and you have a lot of money in the bank, it doesn't mean you're going to have excellent credit. Credit is vital when you're trying to get into rental property or to purchase a new home to start again with your children or to get a new job or to locate to somewhere else. Credit is going to be the most asked question, and that's why you need to preserve it, prevent everything, and have it the best way it can be so you can have a lot more opportunities post separation.
So basically, it's almost like credit is connected to your ability to be free and move
Absolutely. You have to have
on with your
credit
life. Yeah.
independence.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So before we get started, Angela, why don't you officially introduce yourself and say what you do?
Hello, everyone. My name is Angela Kim. I am Senior Credit Consultant and one of the founding members at Credit Repair Boss. So we are a full credit consulting firm. So we are partnered with a law firm called Sanders Law. So we're not just average credit repair company that just do disputes. We go above and beyond for clients, and we have a lot of expertise helping and assisting clients who are going through a nasty divorce or separation. We know how to handle it to guide you in the right direction for you and your children.
Thank you so much. All right, so let's now talk about some of the mistakes or misconceptions people have when going through a divorce or even post judgment, like after it's done, where they think, oh, now I can start to relax. Like, what are some mistakes people make along the way that you're like, no, 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 we need to educate you?
So, one of the big mistakes is people think they want to start fresh. And I believe in that. You want to start fresh, all new opportunities. And I no longer want to have accounts that I've had with my ex or even accounts that I had during marriage that is not joint accounts. People terminate those accounts. But if you do close out your open accounts, you're going to see your credit score drop 100 points or even more than that because you're voluntarily cutting the history and how long your credit has been built for. So that's a big impact on credit. So be careful when you start anew, when you close out any kind of open or old accounts that you may have had before.
Wow. I I didn't know that. I didn't know that that was something that you have to watch out for. It makes sense because it's almost like that's what's been happening, and to then have you need a history, otherwise you have nothing.
Exactly. Because credit, in a way, is for anyone, like a bank, before they give you money, trusting you based on your credit history. So the longer, the thicker, and more rich of credit history you have, you're likely to have better credit score. So you're more credible borrower. So when you are going into rental property in the city, they're gonna like you more and favor you other as to other candidates. So you have to have credit for that reason.
Yeah, it's interesting how you're connecting credit to credibility, because we always talk about how our clients need credibility in the court system, and you're talking about you need credibility outside of the court system too. So here's a great way to show, like, I'm a responsible person. Look at my past. I'm going to pay you, you can trust me, kind of thing. All
Exactly.
right. What about how does somebody even get like financial independence regarding credit? Like, I know we talked about the financially dominant spouse.
That's a very good question. So the one of the biggest misconception people have is having enough income that you report on your tax return, or having six figures or seven figures in the bank account is going to automatically give you an 800 credit score. So that's definitely not true. So a lot of people, whether they're in a relationship, marriage, whatever it might be, there tends to be always a more dominant person in the relationship, financially or credit wise. So I'll just give you an example of my marriage. I love my husband. We have a very healthy relationship. But because I'm in the business and my career is in regards to credit and finance, I actually handle a lot of the bill paying or managing our finances as a couple and in our marriage. So when I see other couples as well, that is actually true, because one person may be making a lot more of those financial decisions. The other person may be also bringing a lot of value and funds to the marriage. But if there's any discrepancy and you go through a separation, the other person might be completely clueless. Oh, or the mortgage is joint. So if the other person's malicious, starts to default on that mortgage, your credit's going to be tanking too. So I think it's important, if you are considering separation, or if you're already going through it, or even post separation, that you really understand where your credit stands. And also really understanding that money doesn't have direct correlation with credit. That way you actually take a look at your full credit report, even during, before, or after separation. You have to have credit and understand every single remark on there, because there are a lot of things that can happen in the midst of a separation.
As you're saying that, I'm thinking that a number of people, after they've raised kids, have been out of the workforce for years, and they're not the financially dominant spouse, and they don't have credit because the other person has been taking care of it. Like, do you suggest someone get a credit card, or how can someone
That's a
start to
good
establish credit if they don't if
Yeah,
they don't have it? They
that's a
haven't been
good
taken
question.
charge of it.
And unfortunately, I see those scenarios all the time, but it would be hard for me to give a exact advice to that scenario without looking at credit,
Mhm.
because my approach to credit and our firm's approach is, it's like a medical visit. When you're not feeling well, you have to go to the doctors, and you need that diagnosis to understand what it is that you're ill with, and afterwards you could be put on a treatment plan that's going to heal you. But in a general sense, to answer that question, just because you're applying for a Macy's credit card, it doesn't mean that it's going to strengthen up your credit to the 800s. You would first have to pull your credit report. Do I have any credit? Well, my husband pays all the bills. I don't even know if my American Express that we have together, is that joint, or am I just piggybacking off of his credit as an authorized user? So all of those scenarios can vary, but we would have to first see the credit report to understand what situation you might be in. Even if you're in a very healthy relationship, I believe in finance independence, and you have to have that. Of course, it would be lovely to have joint accounts. Also nice to have individual checking accounts, but you also need to have credit and credit history of your own.
Does everybody have a credit history, or like, does everyone, like, how does somebody even know that someone exists? Like, I'm thinking, is it based on your social security? Like, what if I've never worked, but I'm like
That's a
26 years
question.
old, which is a long time ago,
Actually,
but like,
employment doesn't have anything to do with credit. And just
really?
because you're 23 years old, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have no credit. When you're of age, when you have the valid social security card from the administration, you could apply for credit or start to build credit. So whether you have credit or not, a lot of people can tell, because when you go on your banking apps, oh, your credit score is this, or your credit score has dropped. It kind of gives you an understanding of credit, although that's not an accurate measure. A lot of people, if you are an adult, whether you've worked off the books your whole life, or whether you had corporate life of doing tax returns for years and years, likelihood is you would have had credit. If you ever borrowed money, like student loans, even my niece, who's 22 years old, has credit because she has 3 semesters of going to college and took out loans against her name, as well as a credit card of her own for $1,000. So although she's very young, she has credit. You could tell whether you have credit or not by simply pulling your credit report with your information, with social, full name, all of that good stuff.
Wow. All right. Good to know. Let's start getting into the high conflict area that I know we're anxious to talk about. How does credit connect to identity theft? Because that's the issue that's happening now, in particular with someone that we know.
That's a very good question. So unfortunately, hackers have gotten very creative, and identity theft happens to be one of the big part of our practice. And it's because you may have never lost your wallet, but someone could scan and hack your iCloud on your iPhone and steal every single information that you may have ever had in your whole lifetime. Or maybe your information got hacked through Verizon, Northwell. It happens all the time. And you get letters in the mail, oh, I'm so sorry, but our data breach has caused us to lose all your information in the dark web. So everyone is unfortunately exposed to it. Identity theft can happen because once you get your information stolen, they could apply for things without your knowledge. So I would say millions of American social actually got lost months ago last year, but it only came to surface and out to public 3 months after that happened because media was trying to keep it down because they are the ones who are responsible for this. So yes, if you have a social security number, likelihood is you might be exposed already. That's why you have to be on top of it because you check your bank account every day. Okay, I have enough bills to pay for my car insurance, my car, my mortgage, all that good stuff. Same thing with credit. You have to guard it. You have to defend yourself. Therefore, you have to check it to know where you stand to begin with.
Yeah. All right. So now this situation that's going on, which is very common, unfortunately, amongst our community and especially with some of our clients, their exes use their identity to do things to continue to punish them post-separation. So we know someone whose ex, and this is years past divorce, has taken out a credit card in that person's name, and the person that we know's credit has been significantly affected. And so our person is trying to figure out what recourse to have. Like, and we talked about this a little privately yesterday, like, do you go legal? And what happens also when the ex-spouse realizes that they have been caught and starts saying, oh, I think something's, I think someone hacked our accounts, but they've already committed the crime. And we see this all the time.
It's not a joke. I understand a lot of people are trying to revenge the other person. It's malicious and it's actually felony. And the charges really depends on which state you reside in. That's going to determine jail time if the severity of the case is very large.
So even if someone's like, oh, oops, I don't know what happened.
Unfortunately, the damage is done on the other person's credit report. A lot of the time, you can't just try to reverse it on your own. Let's say that happened to a person, right? And you realize there are a lot of accounts on your credit report you don't recognize. Well, what are you going to do if you're trying to move by September for your kids to go into a certain school district? The landlord is saying no because your credit doesn't look good, right? So
everything is affected. It's not just like, oops, my credit.
Exactly. It doesn't matter whether they've stolen your information and opened 3 accounts and they only total up to $1,000, or whether they only open 1 account for $1,000. It really doesn't matter the number and what that damage is. The fact that someone stole your information, apply for credit without you consenting, they came to your mailbox, stole your mail, that is a serious problem. So in that case, we would probably have to dispute with the credit bureaus and also verify with identity affidavit that it wasn't you. You never opened such accounts. You could, validate all of that with proof. However, a lot of the times, clients unfortunately lie. It might be even your debt. In that case, they're trying to protect themselves. So if they are not budging at all, then we do have to take it to court to sue the credit bureaus as well as a creditor. Let's say Citibank is the bank that your ex used in order to apply for the fraudulent account. Maybe we have a lawsuit against the 4 credit bureaus as well as a bank to get it completely removed off of the report.
So it's not even just a personal lawsuit.
Well, you would have to litigate on the credit side of things, but if needs be, and if the case is very large, then it might be even a good idea to retain an attorney to go in the civil route to try to go after. It really depends, right? But I'm very cautious when I talk about these things because everyone's credit situation is very different. It's very confidential. You have to also understand the consequences of possibly putting them behind bars and what would happen for your alimony, child support, family involved. So a lot of careful topics to discuss, but it really depends case by case.
Yeah, and when you talk about consequences, it's almost I remember back during divorce days and saying, I want to, I want my ex to go to jail and get in trouble. And a lot of our clients say the same thing. And lawyers saying, but do you really want that? Because then you're not going to get paid.
Exactly.
So you have to there's that balance of like, I want punishment, but I still need to get paid. Like, I don't want to ruin
Right.
things.
You have to think about the consequences because especially if they have children or their family involved and the impact is large. So I always tell clients, tell me everything during the initial consultation because I need to know the scale of your identity theft situation or the damage the other spouse did, although it may not be identity theft. We have to understand so that we can come up with a solution that is not going to be damaging to your family and also your finances because if you're collecting $7,000 a month from your ex for whatever that's agreed upon judgment, you need to preserve that, right? So a lot of different factors to consider before you take action. But yes, on the credit side of things, without going the civil route, we can rectify everything, make sure it never happens again. And also, second, most importantly, that we rectify any identity theft damage that's occurred.
Yeah. Yeah. I know people are wondering how long does something like that take? So let's say this just happened. Like,
Good question.
how can I fix it? Like how everyone wants it like right now.
No. If anyone tells you this could be resolved in a matter of 3 business days, be careful because a lot of the times, if it sounds too good to be true, it is for any relationship or any advice. And a lot of the times you have to doubt that, right? So legally, credit bureaus are given at least 35 days to update all the information. So it depends on the severity of the case, the number of identity theft accounts. It could be resolved within 35 days. If we do need to sue and we do litigate, then it could take about 3 months or it could be longer. So as soon as you catch the act of identity theft, it's very important that you speak to a professional to making sure that the damage is the least it can be, and also prevention is key here.
Okay, so a question is, let's say this person got caught and is trying to again play innocent and wants to have conversations with the person whose account that they hacked. Is it harmful to get involved in conversations? Like I thought maybe it's better not to talk and just go legal at this point.
You could hear them out and really hear what the situation is, right? It would be a different case if they thought they're applying for a joint account without your consent as to applying for an individual credit card without them on that card and just applying without your knowledge. And it's honestly two different stories. So it would be good to kind of understand the case a little bit because when we are at a precinct getting the police report filled out, we do need to give point of view as to what really happened. I wouldn't necessarily just forgive them, let them have it. Well, the damage is done. The moment you pay for a $500 collection account because of this identity theft, we can't fix that anymore because you admitted that it's your debt, right? You paid out of your checking account. So you have to be really careful to not pay any identity theft damaged accounts. The moment you make payment, you're acknowledging and consenting that it's your debt and that you're being financially responsible to address it out of your checking account.
Wow. Okay, so even if someone is panicking where they're like, oh my gosh, I see there's something that's saying I need to pay like $700, but I didn't do it, but I just want to get this taken care of. They should not do that because then it's basically.
Exactly, because every case is very different. We would have to see the whole picture of the report. What if you uncover one account, happens to be 7 other accounts, and it totals up to $100,000? Do you want to pay $100,000 in full to address the problems that's not even yours, and you will never be able to get it off your credit report for 7 years? A lot of consequences. So you have to think before you act upon it. So I would always seek for professional help, and that's why I have so much passion for what I do. And I really believe in financial literacy as well as credit independence. You have to know where you stand for you to get any help. So you can reach out to us for free consultation. There's no cost involved. We just need $20 to pull out the review credit report. Because if you check on Amex, they're giving you a snippet of your credit score. You're not going to see all the identity theft accounts involved in there. So always we're here to give advice and guide everyone into the right direction.
Yeah, that's great. Now, and we'll get at the end of this, we'll have you give all your contact information. So we're talking about a situation that's happened since. Are there ways to prevent something, like to prevent, because we already know our clients' exes are going to create, have malicious intent to continue punishing them post separation. What could I do if I'm getting out and I'm just like, I don't want this to happen. I don't want my ex to steal my identity.
Yeah, I would do two things. First is actively checking your credit report. That way you understand what's going on a weekly basis. I wouldn't recommend seeing your credit every single day. It would stress you out, right? Better to just see it once a month just to understand what's going on. Second, if you are not moving, if you're not applying for any credit in the near future, I would always do something called security alert, where if anyone attempts to apply for credit, even if it's you going to a Toyota dealership to get into a new RAV4, they're gonna reach out to you, meaning the credit bureaus will reach out to you. Hey, Angela, did you apply for auto loan with Toyota? It's a good security measure to have, and it's called security alert. I would advise it for everyone, not just because you are, exposed to potential identity theft. It's just for extra layer of protection for anyone in general.
Yeah, that's really useful. Okay, so that's the before. We talked about the after. What about during a divorce? Are there other things that people should be thinking about?
Absolutely. So during is one of the most important parts because it's your present reality, right? What's happening right now. If you have any marital and joint credit accounts, for example, it could be an American Express that both of you open jointly, or it could be an auto loan that both of you co-sign together to purchase or lease a vehicle, or even a mortgage. Make sure that it's on time during that process. If someone, the other spouse, is being malicious, defaulting on it in order to ruin your credit, they have to understand that not only are they ruining their credit, your credit's also being ruined because you're a co-signer or you're one of the joint account holders. So I always advise everyone, make sure bills are paid on time. It's not a feasible option if you are suffering financially and that's the reason why you're going through separation. Then, unfortunately, that would be a difficult option to take. If you have the financial measures, just make sure that your joint mortgages are paid on time. Although your ex might be residing in that property, you're not living there at the moment, doesn't matter. Make sure the bills are paid, not just electric or water bills. I'm talking about credit accounts. So that's the most important piece of advice I would give to everyone. Make sure joint accounts are always current and do automatic payments.
Yeah, so anything attached to your name is you.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm already thinking of the injustice because, in our cases, people are still really, really attached to their ex, and their ex, of course, stops paying.
Right.
And they're like, how am I going to find the money to cover all this stuff? And I'm taking care of the kids, et cetera. It's really, really hard,
But
frustrating.
there's a remedy. If your spouse is malicious, intentionally not paying all the bills, it's not end of the world, because that's what we do here. We can help you repair and reestablish your credit after a nasty divorce. Although your credit went down the toilet to 400s, it's never too late. Even if you had to file for bankruptcy because your ex had to file business bankruptcy or personal bankruptcy, and it's not of your fault, you were actually one of the main borrowers on your business debt or personal debt, never too late. We can help individuals who are coming out of bankruptcy to rebuild, restore credit. So if it's not bankruptcy, your ex just ruined your credit, no problem. We can still fix your credit so you could be in good standing and regain your financial and credit independence again.
I'm so glad you said that, because we often say that our clients don't lose, they just give up too soon. And I think having your credit damaged makes a lot of people feel like their life is ruined, like their ex ruined their credit, they can't move on. And so I'm so glad to hear you say, like, there's things that we can do to fix that. This is not a life sentence.
Absolutely. And I think that's why I have so much passion to educate everyone. We don't learn this in school. There's no course you take post divorce or during divorce or or prepping a separation, no one tells you how credit's going to be ruined
Mhm.
or how it is, right? So it's all about knowledge and awareness, and it's just getting educated to understand your rights and how to prevent things from getting any worse. So it's all about
Yeah.
prevention.
Yeah. And before we give like how people can find you, we talked about doing another one of these. And do you remember what the topic is? Because this now is like how to deal with the whole identity theft and credit repair. But there's something that we're going to talk about next month. I forgot the day. I don't have it right in front of me, but we'll send it out in our newsletter of things involving your kids,
Yes.
right?
So a lot of the times, I mean, longer the relationship is, there's a lot of people impacted, and a lot of times it's your young children, right? So let's just say you went through a divorce 10 years ago, and now your children are of age and they're going to be freshmen in college this September. You have to really understand how you're going to take on new debt post divorce. So what do I mean by that? Let's say you have two kids, right? How unfair would it be if your ex funds $50,000 for a SUNY school for one of your daughter for 4 years?
That's
Asks
a state school for those of you
right,
who are not New
State
Yorkers listening.
University, New
Yeah,
York. Sorry, it's an acronym.
it's okay.
Yeah, it would be unfair if you take on $200,000 or $300,000 worth of student loan debt for your second daughter who's going to Boston University, right? So when you are doing Parent Plus loan, which is a loan that a lot of people take, which is federal loan, you co-sign for your children, make sure to separate the debt equally between you and your ex, that so that you don't end up with 200,000 plus worth of student loan debt for your second daughter when your ex only has $50,000 worth. So even after divorce, there are a lot of questions and a lot of answers and a lot of discussions that need to happen to preserve your credit so that things are fair and you're not going to be impacted. How horrible would it be just because of your $200,000 worth of student loan for your second child that you can't qualify for a mortgage, right? So there are ways to split it evenly down in the middle. So that we're going to talk about all of those details and what to do post divorce at our next live session.
Yeah, and again, this is really, really important while you're going through a divorce, because when you put together some kind of agreement, these are the details you need to have. I cannot count how many people have come to us being like, oh my gosh, we didn't have that in our agreement. And now I guess I'm going to be the responsible one for paying for everything for our kids' college because I didn't think of that at the time that we were putting together an agreement. So really, really important to learn this stuff now, especially when it comes to money.
Absolutely. There's a
Yeah,
lot of different topics we could touch upon next time.
I'm sure. All right, so Angela, tell people how they can
Sure.
find you.
So again, my name is Angela Kim. Lisa definitely will be sharing my information as well, but I am very reachable. I'm based in New York, in Long Island, but I am not limited to just clients living in New York. We are a firm that operates in all 50 states. So if you are living out in California, no problem, we can still assist you with credit. My best contact would be my phone number. I'm reachable via text or phone, 516-698-4303. My information will be saved, as well as my email address. It's my name, Angela at creditrepairboss.com. But obviously, there's my Instagram handle that this live is going out right now at. So it's Angela, the credit boss. You could DM me. You could reach out to me personally by calling, texting, email. All of that is a good method for you to reach me.
Yes, and just mention it again for people who weren't here before. You do a free initial consult. That's very helpful because we love free initial consults.
We offer free consultation. Why? Because everyone is a very different situation. I wouldn't be able to advise you how long it's going to take, the cost involved, and what your end credit score is going to be without really seeing the full situation. So we always offer free consultation. We just need a 3-bureau credit report. You could give me whatever you already have that's recent, or we could pull it at a third party without a hard inquiry because you don't want your credit to drop. But the consultation, there's no charge at all.
Yeah, this is like maybe a crazy coincidence. Someone saying, "Hi, Angela, I had a consult with you before." So helpful.
Oh, yeah, sure. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Angela. And we'll get together again next month and talk about the things with how credit and money affect your kids and the things you should absolutely be thinking of when you're dealing with your divorce or custody issue.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again for having me, Lisa.
Okay, my pleasure. Talk soon.
Talk
Bye.
soon. Bye.